Hello everyone, and welcome to the Tome of Silver, the show where I randomly select a game from my collection, review it, and add it to an ever-growing ranking list. You know, to this day, I have never played Nicktoons Unite, the first of the Nicktoons crossover action games. It featured beloved Nick characters like SpongeBob, Danny Phantom, Timmy Turner, and Jimmy Neutron teaming up against a villainous syndicate of Plankton, Vlad Plasmus, Crocker, and Professor Calamitous. However, its sequel, Battle for Volcano Island, released in 2006, was a huge part of my childhood. I'm not sure I ever played a multiplayer game more with my brother than Battle for Volcano Island, because we were huge Nicktoons fans, and it was very easy to pick up and play. It's been over a decade since I last played the game, and honestly, my memory of it and its quality are a bit hazy. Seeing this game being selected for today's video was exciting, as it gave me a chance to revisit this childhood classic with a slightly more critical eye. So, is this the perfect crossover game for kids? Or will it leave them wishing they were just watching the cartoons instead? Practice some karate? Go Ghost! And let's turn the page to Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island on the GameCube. On the titular Volcano Island, its inhabitants, the crabs, are performing a ritual to summon a group of heroes destined to defeat the Magu, an ancient evil that is draining energy from across the universe. The Magu interrupts the ritual, scattering the heroes across the island, with only SpongeBob and Danny Phantom arriving at the right location. The wise old crab, that's his name, pleads with the heroes to search the island for their friends and to defeat the Magu to save the island. The story itself isn't anything special. The main villain, the Magu, isn't memorable at all, being a pretty generic bad guy who can't hope to compare to more iconic villains like Plankton and Vlad Plasmus. Still, it's always fun to see your favorite cartoon characters talking and sharing banter. Each character is voiced by their original voice actor, which gives the whole crossover an air of authenticity. The actor's delivery of jokes gave a constant stream of sensible chuckles throughout the adventure.
Hey, you wiener! You don't look so scary from up here. You look like a toy monster.
Nobody calls the Magu a toy.
But apparently calling him a wiener is okay.
And as far as translating 2D characters into 3D, I think the developers did a great job. The characters are both highly animated and expressive, giving each cutscene good energy. The art style still looks pretty good today, nearly 20 years later. However, Patrick's constant bedroom eyes make me a bit uncomfortable. My biggest critique of the crossover aspect is the series it chooses to represent. Repping SpongeBob, we have Mr. SquarePants himself, Patrick, and Sandy, with Squidward as an NPC. From Danny Phantom, we have Danny and Sam, with Tucker as an NPC. Lastly, from the Fairly Odd Parents, we only have Timmy, and even then, Timmy's only playable for a single level, since the characters you're allowed to play in each stage are predetermined. Jimmy, who was playable in the previous game, is reduced to being just a cameo in a few cutscenes. This makes Battle for Volcano Island more of a SpongeBob and Danny Phantom crossover, guest starring Timmy Turner from the Fairy May Cry series, rather than a proper Nicktoons crossover. I wish there was greater character variety, and that Timmy was playable in more than one level. Other Nickelodeon shows make cameo appearances as various objects falling from the storm the Magu is creating, so it's neat to see them. However, I wish some of these shows actually had playable characters.
Guys, there's an aqueous thermal diffuser not far away. We need that for the rib zipper.
Look, it's over there. Wow, it's beautiful.
Dude, it's an espresso machine.
That's what I said.
Combat is simple and easy to learn, similar to the LEGO games. Each character has a single combo attack and a special attack, the latter of which uses the yellow squares next to your character's portrait. This simple combat makes it suitable for young kids, who are the intended audience. Older players looking for more depth won't find it here. You'll also encounter plenty of platforming challenges, where your characters can double jump and climb. I was pleasantly surprised by how smooth the characters were to control. I expected the game to feel stiff, but instead, combat is quick and the characters handle like a dream. It's just unfortunate that most levels are designed that you can simply run past enemies without needing to fight anyone. You're not rewarded with anything for defeating enemies either, so there's not a lot of motivation to fight them. Additionally, though each level features 2 to 4 playable characters, there's little point in switching between them, as each character plays almost identically with very few unique abilities setting them apart. The only exceptions are Timmy's hammer, which has knockback, Patrick, who lacks a ranged attack and instead has this god-awful cartwheel maneuver, making him the worst character in the game, and Sam, who can pick up these Fenton Thermos items, giving her the Fenton Peeler. With it, she's not only immune to damage, but also has infinite ranged attacks for a limited time, making her the best character. Other than these 3 points, each character's moves, fighting style, and jumping are all the same, and they don't incorporate much of their unique abilities. You might think Danny would be able to walk through walls, disappear, and fly, but sadly these aren't included. Though I guess it was done to make the game simpler for a younger audience to pick up and play.
Sorry, battery's not included.
That's how they get you, Timmy! That's how they get you!
The levels take place in different parts of the island, so each stage is entirely original. If you're hoping to visit iconic places like Fairy World or the Ghost Zone, I'm afraid you're out of luck. I personally didn't mind this, as I found each stage sufficiently distinct, and a major part of the story is the Nicktoons being stranded on this island. They even call the pickup Salvage, and the level select hub world is your camp. I think it all fits thematically, but if someone found the island setting dull and wanted more locations based on Nick shows, I get it. Each stage hides several items throughout, with 4 corresponding to a specific character. Collecting all 4 unlocks that character's bonus stage, some of which can be quite challenging. Some items are well hidden too, so you'll probably need to replay each stage a few times to find everything. There are also various pickups scattered around, and after collecting enough of a certain type, you'll unlock an alternate costume for each playable character. These serve as great incentives for replaying levels and adding extra playtime, which is much needed given how short this game is. It only took me 3 hours to finish, and it could be done even quicker if you don't bother unlocking the bonus levels. One critique I have is that your AI companions are too dumb. They're supposed to follow you throughout the stage, but they sometimes just stop. By the time you notice they're no longer with you, you're already several platforming challenges ahead of them. This forces you to choose between going all the way back to have the AI start following again so you can have access to that playable character, or just continuing until you reach the next checkpoint, where the other characters will finally teleport next to you. When it's time to fight, the computer-controlled characters barely participate, and mostly just stand there while the player does all the work. During this, they'll sometimes start doing an idle animation, and I swear, SpongeBob's almost made me go insane. SpongeBob's idle animation has him acting scared, with his knees shaking and making this dingle noise. And SpongeBob will repeat this animation every few seconds, so I am constantly hearing this dingle noise over and over and over again. Oh my god, it was annoying. If you think I'm exaggerating with the frequency of the sound, watch this clip and see how often it happens in just a few seconds.
Oh, more angry crabs!
Stop them!
The only way to stop it was to either play only as SpongeBob so the idle animation never played, or turn the volume all the way down, neither being great options. Fortunately, the flawed AI can be fixed with Volcano Island's multiplayer, which lets another player join in at any time to platform and fight alongside you. This is something I have a lot of memories with, and who doesn't love messing around with a friend while playing as your favorite Nicktoon? Hopefully your partner likes SpongeBob too, so you won't have to listen to the idle animation. The music wasn't particularly memorable either. It wasn't bad, but it was quite generic, and I had forgotten every track by the time I finished listening. Perhaps some remixes of familiar themes from the respective cartoons could have livened up the music a bit more. Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island is an okay action-adventure game for fans of Nickelodeon. The selection of playable characters is somewhat limited, and the game is too short for its own good, but the surprisingly smooth combat and local co-op keep the gameplay enjoyable, which is ultimately what matters. If you're not a fan of the characters represented, or of just Nickelodeon in general, I don't think this game will change your mind, and you probably won't get much out of it. However, if you do enjoy the characters, this is a fun game to play for an afternoon or so. Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island will take the number 61 spot, beating out the Wii port of Ultimate Alliance 2, but not matching up the console version of Bionicle Heroes. Battle for Volcano Island is a simple but solid beat-em-up made for fans of the cartoons, with some fun extras attached. If you can find it for cheap, you may not regret your time with this one. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking it and maybe subscribing. It was a shorter one today, but honestly after 3 months in a row of RPGs, having a shorter, simpler game was a nice change of pace. What's everyone's favorite Nickelodeon cartoon? I was a huge fan of Danny Phantom, and watched every episode as they came out. I later learned about Invader Zim, which is a show I adore, but it only played on YTV at midnight, so my friends and I regularly stayed up way past our bedtime to catch episodes. It's funny how much of a struggle staying up to midnight used to be, when now that's just every night. Anyway, let me know your favorite Nick show down in the comments. Don't forget to stick to the end of the video to see what game our wheel will select next. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and may we see each other again when we turn to the next chapter in the Tome of Silver.